Hi, welcome back to In Your Defense. I'm Attorney Steve Toland. You know, with more and more restaurants and bars being allowed now to provide takeout, alcohol, mixed drinks, beer and wine, it begs the question of what are the rules regarding open containers in Texas? Now, it may not surprise many of us to know that Texas still has some of the strictest rules governing open containers. And there are 4 things to remember when it comes to open containers. First, an open container, what is it? It's really any receptacle that holds alcohol in it that's been open, or that's open as the officer finds it, or that's had the seal broken off, and even if it's closed back, so if you screw the bottle cap back on, if that seal's been broken, that would still count as an open container. Or an open container is really any amount that's holding a beverage that's been partially removed. So if you had like half of the contents of a bottle of wine removed and then the cork stuck back in there real quick, if an officer were to pull you over, you couldn't then claim it's not an open container. Number 2 thing to remember about open container laws in Texas is that it governs the whole passenger area of your vehicle. A lot of times people sometimes think that if they're over 21 and they're in the back seat, they're allowed to have an open container of alcohol. That is not true. It's not correct. You're still liable under misdemeanor laws, a Class C misdemeanor in Texas, which is a non-jailable offense punishable up to $500. So anyone in the front seat, driver obviously included, or back seat, any passenger area with a seat in it, is a restricted area for an open container. The third thing to remember is that it governs whether your car is stopped, parked, or operating on. So it doesn't matter if you're inside the car. And lastly, the 4th thing to remember, on a public roadway. So that's any area of ingress and egress, a road if you will, that's publicly maintained. So if you have one of those, all 4 of those rather, if you have one of those missing, you're not liable. But of course, if you have all 4 of those, then you are perhaps guilty of a Class C misdemeanor open container. It's a pretty heavily regulated offense. There are 2 defenses in and of themselves. One is a vehicle for hire. So if you are over 21 and you're renting a limousine or a party bus or something like that, yes, you can have an open container then, because that's a exception to the general rule. The other exception, aside from vehicles for hire, are recreational or camping vehicles. So the passenger area restriction is a little bit broader in that instance. So the front area with the driver and the passenger in the front, those are restricted areas, and then everything behind that in a recreational or camping vehicle is an exception to the general rule. So there you have it. That's kind of the 4 main things to remember about open containers and some of the exceptions. If you have any questions about these areas, these are can wreak havoc on your criminal history, college funds, financial aid, all those things for kiddos under 21 and over 21. So if you have any questions about that, I encourage you to reach out to me, Attorney Steve Toland, or to us here at Peek & Toland. We're always glad to help. Thank you.